He was a crack addict, a crack daddy, and a crackhead.
Welcome to Downballot. We do the show live almost every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, right here on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. Also simulcasting to other places that don't matter. And obviously, Thursday afternoons in your ear holes on the podcatcher. If you're listening on the podcast, go ahead and check out our Twitch channel. Give it a follow. Even if you don't ever watch, it makes me feel good to watch the number go up. You can support this project at patreon.com/Echoplex, or even better at eplex.store. Our new Halloween merch just dropped. Thanks to everybody who bought all the Pride merch. All that disco goat stuff helped me purchase some things to make it so my fucking lights don't flicker anymore during the show. So that's fucking great. And I'm producer Dave. You can find me on Grindr.
And this is the Councilman. You can find me chasing the bad baby around, and it's giving me back trouble. Let me tell you about it. You can also find me on X at THE_Councilman, but why the fuck would you be on X right now? Really? You can also find me as Hanselman on Facebook. I am getting around there occasionally and trolling you. But doing it in secret this time. Anyway, welcome. Great to see you, Producer Dave, as always.
Yeah, last week you were off, so the Media Wench actually did the Shasta board meeting while I went to a local open mic run by one of our people who's been a couple times guest on the old Local Love podcast. I met up with Chip DeVille, Juan Maserati, Pimpy the Dolphin from chat actually showed up because lives over in Campbell by Chip, and my friend Johnny Five was there also. And then we had a cocktail party here after, actually.
It's like all the friends.
Yeah. It was we were hanging out in the Mont. We didn't even get sweated by the fucking Fremont police like we did when we were teenagers. But that's probably because we were drinking indoors and smoking weed discreetly in a parking lot in a place where it's totally legal.
Being more responsible these days, and yes, much more is legal these days as well.
So what do we got for leading off?
This is something you put on the docket, actually. So I'm curious to see myself. It looks like a shit ton of pot.
Fuck yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, that's going for Downballot. Let's see what the local news has to say about it. Hopefully they're pro weed.
Well, it's Antioch, so I mean, they've got some issues there, so they definitely need some weed.
If there's any city that needs a bong hit, it's probably Antioch.
Fucking A.
It's one of the homes, the largest concentrations of illegal marijuana grow homes in the entire state. That's what investigators are saying tonight about Antioch.
The California Department of Cannabis Control raided more than 60 homes there that have been converted into weed cultivation sites. NBC Bay Area's Jody Hernandez is tracking the story.
This looks like a normal middle-class suburban neighborhood, but investigators say until recently, 3 houses on this very block were operating as illegal marijuana grows in disguise. This is what officers with the California Department of Cannabis Control recently uncovered inside 3 Antioch houses. Homes literally packed with illegal pot plants, something the city of Antioch has been plagued with for years.
The homes, most of them are completely converted to a marijuana grow. Sometimes they may leave a bedroom or 2 available for whoever's maintaining the grow for them to sleep in. But as I mentioned, the majority of the home is completely turned into a grow.
Lieutenant Desmond Bittner says cracking down on the illegal operations has been tough for the city's resource-strapped department. But now the State Department of Cannabis Control is taking the lead.
How many homes do you think are here in Antioch are marijuana grow homes?
At least between 100 and 200.
Investigators say the marijuana houses are highly dangerous, filled with chemicals, wiring, and sometimes standing water.
When they bypass the electrical meter, there's a large chance that there could be a fire. They do not modify things to code, so it's extremely dangerous.
Commander Kevin McInerney says
So that guy basically just told you, hey, if you're going to bypass this, do it all to code.
Yeah, right? Like, just make sure it's on the up and up, and we'll be fine. You won't raise any red flags.
I don't know. Maybe you got an electrician friend. Maybe
Right.
if you got a lot of weed, it'll be easy to make an electrician friend.
Do you have a guy?
recent houses raided belong to an Oakland police officer, and he says nearly all of the houses have been linked to Chinese organized crime.
Nearly
fuck
all
out
of
of here.
heroes that we've served search warrants in the Antioch and East Bay area are run by Chinese organized crime or associated with Chinese organized crime.
And if you can buy a home for $700,000 and keep it a secret and do your operations, I mean, that's less than what you would get for a huge manufacturing facility.
Antioch Mayor Lamar Hernandez Thorpe believes Antioch is attractive to criminals because of affordability. He says there were 3 grow houses near his own home at one time. He's urging Antioch residents to report suspicious activity.
Well, if you don't see your neighbors for a long, long time and you see a van pull up at nighttime, or, you know, I mean, I think people are pretty
nosy
keen on that something normal is not taking place.
Investigators say once they've uncovered the grow homes, the owners have quickly flipped them, selling them for a profit before moving on to new neighborhoods. In Antioch, Jody Hernandez, NBC.
I have a new TLC show for you, everybody.
Grow flip. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. They come in. It could just be a random episode of one of the shows that's already on, right? They come in and they're just like, yeah, this was a grow house.
So what we learned from there was if you're going to pull a van up at the place and it's a grow house, do it during the day.
Very good call. Very good call.
If you're going to bypass the electrical meter, get somebody who knows what they're doing to do it.
Yeah, and heck, go by the code. Even get a permit for it. Who knows?
Oh, you can't. There's no permit for bypassing the electrical meter. And I don't know. Keep only the chemicals you need on site and have an off-site location to store the grow chemicals that you don't always need.
I think these are all very sensible things, Bruce Dave. I mean, you can consult on a number of things, and this is certainly one area where I think you could.
Strangely enough, unlike the usual, people going in and out of that house all the time. Well, now fucking make sure there's a couple people going in and out of the house all the fucking time.
Yeah, it's interesting to me to the lack of common sense sometimes, right? Just what would you do? Like if it was you across the street, right, and you were just average neighborhood person, right? What would what are you seeing? And I doubt that they're really thinking of it that way. I mean, I know our neighborhood, we're in a residential neighborhood, and if someone pulls up next door, as does happen quite a bit actually, and backs their van into the driveway, right? Even if it's not making much of a noise, it's enough to wake us up at 4 a.m. when we're not expecting that noise, right? And then we come to find out it's our neighbors, and they own a cafe, and their bakery is dropping off artisanal baked goods at 4 a.m. for them, and that's fine. That's their business. But it raised our spidey sense, right? So I think about it that way. Maybe criminals, when you're doing your crimes, think about how your crimes appear to people.
What I'm saying is, if you see something, extort someone.
Exactly right. Why go to the cops when you could make a little money off of it first, right? And no one gets hurt. No harm, no foul. A grow house, a marijuana grow house. I mean, little marijuana gets into the community. It's not going to kill anybody, right? It's not fentanyl.
But that actually, houses aren't built for that. It's unsafe to have those lights. The lights and the heat and stuff is unsafe.
I was cracking wise about the permits too. I mean, there's no permits going to cover that that level of electricity. Crazy Larry.
Yeah. It's not great. But the other thing is maybe just do one room and don't do the attic. Don't do the attic.
Yeah, be a little more sensible than that for sure too, and just don't put it near anything flammable, right?
It's like when you're gonna have a party, you go tell your neighbors, and now you just go tell your neighbors, hey, I'm gonna be growing a little bit of weed in one of these rooms. Let me know if a bunch of light's escaping and it's starting to piss you off. And here's some weed.
Right? Make nice. It's a great way to make nice with the community. You could have a block party. Let everyone know. Hey, want to let you guys in on a little secret.
All right, we're going to move on to winners and losers, where there are no winners unless you were rooting for someone, and then that person will certainly lose.
Speaking of rooting for someone, here? Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry to step on you there. Speaking of rooting for someone, we've got sports leaking into the down ballot world, but only because it plays into the doom loop scenario. So apparently there was a 49ers receiver who was or at least a recent draft pick and wide receiver who was out shopping and doing his thing in Union Square, and apparently someone burgled him, and in the process of being burgled, he was also shot in a tussle. So we're going to find out more about what happened and some of the responses that we're getting from the city and other officials.
On this Saturday, I'm Christina Rendon, and we begin tonight with breaking news out of San Francisco. 49ers first-round draft pick Ricky Pearsall was shot and wounded in San Francisco's Union Square this afternoon, right near Geary and Grant Avenue. Mayor London Breed says police do have the shooter in custody. Let's get right to KTV's Bailey O'Carroll. She is live in our newsroom with late-breaking details. Bailey.
Hey, Christina, according to our sources, we know that 2 people were shot, one of them being 49ers rookie wide receiver Ricky Pearsall, who was shot in the chest in San Francisco's Union Square, this in an attempted robbery. We do not know the extent of Pearsall's injuries or how many times he was shot. The 49ers drafted Pearsall with the 31st overall pick in this year's NFL draft. However, he is yet to play a down with the Niners as he's been nursing nursing a non-football related shoulder injury throughout the preseason. He did just recently return to practice and was slated to play in the team's Week 1 matchup at home on September 9th against the New York Jets. And I want to go to this now. While he did not explicitly mention Pearsall, a fellow Niners wide receiver Deebo Samuel taking to X to write that, quote, "He is good, thank God." And then in another tweet, San Francisco Mayor London Breed saying that SFPD was on scene immediately and an arrest of the shooter was made. She went on to say that her thoughts are with Ricky and his family at this time, that she will provide more updates, including on his condition, as she receives them. Now, we are awaiting an official statement from the 49ers, but we did just get an update from SFPD, so I want to read a little bit about what they said. They said that the suspect who they arrested was also injured in an altercation that happened as a result of that attempted robbery. They also say that police will hold a press conference at SF General Hospital, where Pearsall and the other person who was shot are being treated right now. We expect to learn more information tonight. Christina, we'll send it back to you.
And hopefully they do make full recoveries. We'll have more tonight at 10. Bailey, thank you.
So I don't know what happened there, but just word to the wise, somebody pulls a gun on you, whatever they want, just give it to them.
Yeah, that's pretty sensible, I think.
But we don't know what the
circumstances.
Yeah, how everything went down. We don't know that.
Yeah.
So
there was someone. There was an arrest made. It was a young or a teenager from the East Bay, I think. But yeah, we don't know a whole lot of detail about what's happened yet. But again, it's yes, not good, but it's also like, in other news, many other people were shot and killed in San Francisco, probably, or in Oakland, or in San Jose, even, or in somewhere in California yesterday. Many people died of gun violence this year. So it's good that it's getting attention, because this person is a athlete and in the public sphere. But yeah, we should definitely be paying attention to the fact that gun violence is killing way too many people, regardless of the reason.
It always used to kind of blow my mind that the TL borders like Union Square, and the TL was supposed to be the scary part of San Francisco, but then you walk across the street and now you're in Union Square and it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Right. And it's supposed to be somehow like it reminds me of you remember back when smoking was actually a thing and you had no smoking sections, right? At restaurants.
Right.
Like, so people on one side of the restaurant could smoke, but the other people on the other side, weren't smoking, and therefore it was like smoke free, but you're in a restaurant. you're in an enclosed space and people are just lighting up like 2 booths down from you, but you're in the non-smoking booth, so you're fine and your kids aren't inhaling a bunch of sickening. It's like sort of like that, right? There's some sort of imaginary border, right, that goes up one street away from, or a block away from Union Square, right? And suddenly you're in some sort of ensconced safe space. No, I mean, it's all city. It's all just, it blends. Like LA out into the distance. It just blends. There's no borders.
Yeah.
It's all imaginary. It's all imaginary. Alhambra, Encino, El Cerrito, closer to home, Richmond.
It's interesting. I've gone to, like, there used to be concerts at Union Square all the time. First time I ever saw Jamiroquai was at free concert in Union Square. Mm-hmm. And it was when that video with the floor moving, the virtual insanity video first came out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he wasn't like the huge pull, but me and my friends were like, "Oh, this is disco. This is absolutely fucking disco. We're going.
Jam. Let's do this."
And it's just weird. It's interesting to see sort of like downtown San Francisco sort of almost go the way of downtown San Jose, in that all the entertainment and shopping and stuff seems to be gone or on its way out. And now, like, all the cool things to do in San Francisco are sort of neighborhoodized.
Yeah, it's definitely evolving. With the death of traditional retail, right, and the move to online sales, for the most part, it's changed. It's been a game changer, and it's a game changer for the dynamic of how cities function too, and how districts like that function, right? And if they can function, they're going to have to evolve or not. But I think you're right. We're moving more towards a neighborhood-focused entertainment zones kind of a feel, and I think that's beneficial. But not just San Francisco. I think that's a great model for a lot of cities to deal with, especially someplace like San Jose or the South Bay, where there's a downtown San Jose, but it's always been a very disjointed kind of environment, right? Where there's a lot of nexuses of activity, and like Campbell and Willow Glen and East Side, Story Road, Little Saigon, and just need to take advantage of that more, and not maybe so much be so downtown center focused, right? Recognize that people want to get and are happy to get their entertainment and their value in their own community without having to go too far. Except on special occasions, right? There's always those things that draw you somewhere else.
I did think it was kind of funny. You'd see these signs that like you live in Campbell and it's like visit historic downtown Campbell. It's like visit. I fucking live here.
Right.
What are you talking about visit?
Yeah. Like I don't need to
up next,
that,
speaking of neighborhoods and entertainment, it seems like the people in the Mission, a lot of people in the Mission are unhappy with their choices as far as entertainment goes because they're suing the city over sex workers.
Well, that's too bad because, we'll talk about it later, but it's a pretty significant segment of your economy. So if you're upset about these folks making their living and then going around and spending their money in your local businesses, that's a you problem. But anyway, let's listen.
Yeah, neighbors say in the daytime the neighborhood is fine, but they say after dark they see prostitutes, drunks, and other illegal activity moving.
And bears. Oh my.
Neighbors living on and near Shotwell Street in San Francisco say while the street looks peaceful during the daytime, at night it's another story. Neighbors have photos showing what they say are sex workers, drunks, and people urinating in public. Now some of those neighbors have
just the Mission
and filed a lawsuit against the city.
What do you mean? There's sex workers and people pissing on a tree
So I opened this story, right? Before we get back into it, I opened this story and I'm pre-screening the clip. And I'm like, okay, this has to be like people in the Sunset or in the inner Richmond or the outer Richmond, right? No, it's the Mission. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, should we? I was almost debating taking it off the docket, but these people are so funny. We have to keep watching.
Like, that's why the Mission is cool,
right? I mean, it's the fabric of your community. How can you be upset? And you live in the Mission.
Point that we're claiming and they were contending is that there are laws on the books. And if anybody had done what the city's doing, they would be in deep trouble.
The lawsuit says in part that the city acted unlawfully by permitting prostitution and solicitation to occur on Shotwell, and that the city failed in its duty to maintain safe conditions on the city's streets. Neighbors say they've complained for years and haven't seen any real action.
It's like the dog and pony show, and with the city, with the prostitution, with the Johns, with the pimps, everybody, right?
The city attorney's office released a short statement in response saying, quote, once we are served with the lawsuit, we will review the complaint and respond appropriately. Today, the mayor's office and Supervisor Hillary Ronan unveiled a new plan to address prostitution in the area. The plan calls for exactly barriers similar to those that were installed on Cap Street to curb prostitution there, cameras to deter sex work in the area, and letters to the registered owners of cars that cruise the area looking for sex workers. And the city says it will continue to have uniformed and plainclothes officers working on prostitution enforcement. Neighbors say they've heard promises that the issue would be resolved before, but are waiting for real results. For them, that means being able to not feel like prisoners in their own homes.
They can move about. If they want to move about during the evenings, they can move about during the evenings.
Looked like it was mostly evenings.
72 arrests in the area for various violations in the last 4 months. At this time, there's no timeline on when those barriers and cameras will go into place, and no timeline on when this case could see the inside of a courtroom. We're live in San Francisco. Christian Kaftan, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
All right, Christian, thank you. Across the...
I'm sorry, what did these people... This is like the downside of gentrification, right? Like there's upsides of gentrification because like buildings get facelifts. Mm-hmm. Maybe even if your neighborhood gets gentrified, like new businesses come in where otherwise businesses wouldn't come in. But the downside of gentrification is the gentry.
Yes.
It moves into your fucking neighborhood and fucking complains about the hookers and the dope and the people pissing on the park and all.
Yeah. The vacation part is just fine. It's the gentry. That's the hard part to deal with. Yeah, I don't understand how, one, you can be shocked Two, like the shot that they had there at the end of the clip of Shotwell Street, love it. Shitwell. I actually thought it was Shatwell at first. But Shotwell Street, it looked pretty bucolic, tree-lined San Francisco, beautiful street. Like it seemed like a nice place anyone would want to live, right? During the day, but at night, the booty shaking comes out, right? Like I can't believe they blurred all the booty out. I wanted to see all the booty, and they blurred it all out. It's like, how bad could it be, really? It's just booty. Anyway, so I am all for this sex workers here. I'm 100% in their court. They are the winners here, but they are also the losers because the city's getting sued over them by people who should know better and are just really trying to be. They're really NIMBYs when it comes down to it. I bet you they would say like, "Oh, I'm totally fine with these people making their living, doing this stuff, just not in my neighborhood," right? I'm sure they would say that if you asked them.
Who never complains about this shit is the people in the Castro. And there's a ton of sex work happening in the Castro and people peeing on the side of buildings, and drug use, and people who are drunk. Like,
here you go.
Just seems like the people in the Castro just like kind of know what they're in for when they move there.
Well, here you go. I mean, you're on it right there. Like, there's so many, if you really want to get down on people about things, right? There's so many other things that you can get down on people about. Like, yeah, urinating on the side of a building, right? Like, okay, what are you going to do about that? Build public toilets, right?
It always comes back to the fucking toilets or the building.
Sex workers, parading down your street. Okay, fine. How about this? Red light district, officially sanctioned. Like, let them work, right? Like, let them have a space where Johns can go and they can go, where it's, it's accepted that there's going to be some traffic because Johns are piling up the street, right? And he gets it off Shotwell and away from all of these lovely residents who are.
San Francisco used to have a couple unofficial red light districts. Parts of Broadway were unofficially red light. Polk Street was kind of unofficially red light district.
I know none of anything that you speak. This is all foreign to me. Please do not talk about this ever again in my presence. Broadway, what is this?
But just like anything cool in San Francisco, it eventually ends up south of Market. I don't know what to tell you. Where all the clubs went.
It's something about the currents and the sea breeze and the way that the fog rolls in. It really is the flow. Like, it flows from the Golden Gate and then it wraps around downtown Broadway and then sucks it down to Soma.
I don't know if that's it. I think it's just the city eventually pushes everything out of everywhere and it ends up south of Market.
That's also true. Yeah, no, I mean, there are very much physical and real reasons why these things happen, right? And policing and gentrification and all of these things play together.
So, what do we got next?
Yeah. Huelga! We strike. So hotel workers are, in my estimation, some of the hardest working and most underappreciated people on earth. I don't know if you've ever stayed in a hotel, but the people that clean up after us and do the dirty of having to clean up after some of the more messy of our compatriots. I mean, we try. Good wife and I, we keep it clean. And the bad baby, she's very good about picking up after herself. But most of us don't. Let's admit it. We're messy as fuck humans. So the folks that serve us and work for us in these hotels and these resorts deserve a lot more than they get, and they usually get next to nothing, and they get shat upon by their employers. That's my little personal diatribe. So occasionally they fight back, and that's what's happening right now in the Bay Area. So folks might be having their conventions and their other functions getting disrupted a little bit, and we're going to learn more about it from ABC.
If you're heading to downtown San Francisco anytime soon, be aware that this is the scene playing out right now. Thousands of workers from major hotel chains are on strike, saying they can no longer live paycheck to paycheck.
This is all part of a major strike happening coast to coast. Workers say hotels have not lifted pandemic-era practices that save them money at the expense of workers.
ABC 7 News reporter Gloria Rodriguez is live in Union Square now. Gloria, what's it like out there?
Well, there are several dozen hotel workers out here. They are rallying this morning, and they say that they want better wages, among other things. But, hotels say that they are still committed to serving their customers. Striking hotel workers are rallying outside the Westin St. Francis, San Francisco on Union Square this labor day. More than 2,000 Bay Area hotel workers went on strike yesterday over wages, health care, and workload. This is part of a national movement. At least 10,000 workers at hotels nationwide have walked off the job as contract talks stall between top hotel chains and the workers' union. Workers from desk staff to housekeepers are striking at Hyatt, Hilton, Marriott, and Omni hotels in 8 cities, from San Francisco and San Jose to Boston, demanding a share in what they say are record profits.
This is an industry that has been coming back from the pandemic. They've been making their profits fine, but they haven't shared any of that with us.
Nicholas Javier is a server at the Westin St. Francis and is on strike. Workers also want a reversal of staffing cuts made during the pandemic, including the restoration of automatic daily room cleaning, which was scaled back during COVID, and better health care.
I want to make sure our health care benefits are accessible and affordable. Wage increases. We want our retirement to be a good, dignified retirement.
In a statement, the head of labor relations for Hyatt Americas says, "We are disappointed that Unite Here has chosen to strike while Hyatt remains willing to negotiate. Hyatt hotels have contingency plans in place to minimize impact on hotel operations related to potential strike activity."
Scabs.
Hilton telling ABC News that they are committed to reaching a deal with workers, but also committed to serving customers during any work stoppage. And these workers tell me they'll be on strike until 10 o'clock. Workers from Oakland could also be joining in the coming days. As far as this rally here in Union Square, it's going to start any minute now. Live at Union Square, Gloria Rodriguez, ABC 7 News.
You think these people don't matter? Try going to an Airbnb these days and see the fucking list of chores that motherfucker leaves you for renting a condo.
Please make sure you line the bags with the 13-gallon bags. Do not use the 20-gallon bags. The 20-gallon bags are for the outdoor green waste, okay? And make sure that you do clean up. If there are any leaves on the patio when you are leaving, please clean those up and shove those away, because it attracts spiders and other vermin. So we don't want to have that on the patio, okay? Thanks so much. And also, the toilet in the bathroom, it doesn't properly flush unless you jiggle the handle. You got to jiggle it, and you got to pull it up a little bit, and then you let it drop. And then it should just flush just fine, okay? So just make sure you do that. And all this is written down in this binder that I'm going to give you here. And yeah, if you could just give me $500, we'll call it even.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the toilet at a hotel is like, and it gets rid of whatever you put in the fucking toilet.
Low flow, right? It takes like a pint of water, whoosh, gone. poop down the hole.
Yeah. You go to the hotel. They don't ask you for shit. They say, "Oh, can we swipe your card?" They swipe your card. They're like,
"Right,
here's your key. Great night." You can show up just fucking shit house to your hotel, and they're like, "Oh, do you need some water?"
Right? Oh, they're there to serve. Oh, hello, sir. Hello. Oh, it's so good to see you, sir. It's so good to see you. Yes. Oh, please vomit all over me. Thank you so much. Yeah, I see that you've been out enjoying our fine city. Where have you been? What clubs have you been to? That's fabulous. I enjoy that club very much. No, it's perfectly fine. I have a new suit in the back. We'll just get you up to your room, sir. Do you need any food? Anything to satisfy any need that you have? Massage? Anything like that? Okay, great, sir. Well, we'll see you in the morning. Thank you. Yeah. No, they deserve to get better treatment, and I was happy to march yesterday with the bad baby and the good wife in an action here in San Jose with these same folks. So hope they do get a good contract.
Oh, very good.
Personal bias, but definitely a labor household here.
Up next, it looks like Shake Shack is closing what appears to be the nicest Shake Shack I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah, it should be bad if this Shake Shack is closing. Let's find out what's happening.
Shake Shack announced today it is closing 9 stores, including the one in Oakland's Uptown neighborhood. This is the first time the popular burger chain has closed a location in the Bay Area. There's another one just a couple of miles away in Emeryville. Shake Shack says the locations were, quote, underperforming and will shutter by the end of September.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a quick hit, but mostly just sad. You know, the doom loop strikes again, and it's this time it's frozen custard and burgers. Where else can you get that nice combination? I don't know, but they're out there. We'll find them.
So that Shake Shack, I mean, when I think of a Shake Shack, it's at the mall. It's like a counter at the mall. Like, what the
Totally.
fuck was that Shake Shack doing in like what used to be like a fine jewelry store or something?
It was a fancy walk-in place. I mean, that's really what's happening, right? With like we talked about earlier, the decline of retail, right? What's moving in is the only thing that really works, or the only things that work, are either destination quote unquote retail places where they sell a very specific thing to a very specific population, right? Or it's food. Or it's like beauty and care and salons and barbershops and that kind of thing. That's really what's working when it comes to like neighborhood, ground floor retail these days. So, it's not surprising.
Yeah, and I'm just not sure that like, I think Shake Shack might be one of those things that eventually it's like, oh, do you remember how popular Shake Shack was for 4 years? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, for sure, absolutely. It could very well be one of those things. They definitely have one at the mall near me, so I am very, very familiar with the Shake Shack. Oh my goodness, got Bad Baby trying to like guest appear on Downballot here. Anyway, but yeah, no, I'm very familiar with this.
So what's this next one about artificial turf? What's going on here? Is this a turf war? This appears to be a turf war. Uh-oh. You've been
It is a massive turf war.
There you go. You're fine now.
Yeah, the Bad Baby muted me.
Fucking
rude.
Fucking live podcasting, everybody.
Live podcasting, ladies and gentlemen. She's been doing great so far. I thought she's been watching her television and playing with her toys and, enjoying the fact that Dad has something else to do other than bother her. Questions.
Okay, so it looks like apparently somebody wants to ban artificial turf. Let's see what's going on here.
Yeah, it's usually parents, but we'll find out who exactly here.
These fields used to be filled with SBR rubber, which was basically ground up tires, okay? It's now filled with organic materials.
Supporters of synthetic turf want to make sure their voices are heard. On Tuesday night, Sunnyvale City Council members considered banning artificial turf on city fields. Some of the youth sports organizations are questioning what's the rush on a ban.
And we have so many questions. Why was there no outreach to the people who rent these fields, who provide services on behalf of the city of Sunnyvale to our residents?
Sandra Todd is with Sunnyvale Alliance Soccer Club. Representatives from Little League, softball, and rugby organizations sent councilors a joint letter on why they feel synthetic turf fields add positive value. Fair Oaks is the city's only public park that has synthetic fields.
So you can use an artificial turf field about 3 to 4 times as many hours as a grass field because it doesn't get damaged.
Advocates for artificial turf say it provides accessibility through the winter. The city closes their grass fields from December 1st to March 1st.
Maybe they're an improvement, but there's still a long way to go from safe.
Courtney Jensen, co-founder of Community for Natural Place Services, is a supporter of a ban.
Today it was like 95 degrees in Sunnyvale, and I measured a piece of grass outside of the play area, and that was, I think, like 80 degrees. And I went onto the field and I measured the turf, and that was between 130 and 140 degrees.
Earlier Tuesday morning, the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors decided to postpone a decision on artificial turf. Opponents of a ban in Sunnyvale hope city councilors will take their time as well.
Santa Clara County just released a great big long report. Let our councilors look at that. Okay, let's use the science and let's use current information and let's make a really nuanced discussion.
The supervisors will now vote on the issue in January. In the South Bay, Lauren Martinez, ABC 7 News.
So there's a couple things there. One, since the turf doesn't break, I think that means that the people break, right?
Right.
I think that might be one of the major problems.
Yes. I mean, it's one of the problems with it. It's still a problem with natural. It's actually a bigger problem with natural turf, just because the upkeep is so much that you just end up with divots and holes and gopher holes and all sorts of endless knots that kids can trip on and fall through and twist their ankles on incessantly. So it's not at all uncommon with natural turf. I think that the same problems exist. Artificial turf, you can argue, is like suffocating the earth and the water. That there's no water getting permeated back into the the ground aquifers right through artificial turf. But I see the argument on both sides, but no one's really winning here because just it's either costing us more or it's costing us less, and it's taking more time to delay the inevitable, which is really, it's going to be about access and about how many groups can come in and rent these facilities, how often, right? And they're gonna eventually side with the artificial turf when it comes down to it. If you look at it that way, if they look at it from a non-monetary perspective, then yeah, I think that they might decide that a ban is worth pursuing. But I just don't see it that way. Cities just need revenue, and counties need revenue, and they're gonna try and get it any way they can.
Somebody in chat basically said, do a survey that costs $500,000 first and then decide.
That's exactly how government does it too, right? Like, why not? You do a survey of a thing you know to be true already, right? And it's not that. And the sad thing is it's to appease people who say, "Oh, you didn't reach out to us," right? Like, we know the answer to a lot of these questions. It's not rocket science, right? But you got to ask the community, otherwise the community gets pissed because you made decisions without the community, right? And that's coming from someone who is all about community engagement. But sometimes it just goes too far, and things just need to get fucking done.
All right, what do we got for get your shit together this week?
Well, speaking of Antioch, they're getting their shit together in all sorts of ways. Not only are they cracking down on grow houses, they've also fired their school superintendent because they were, enabling someone who put someone's desk on a roof.
Yeah. Oh, this guy's an asshole.
Yeah, we have covered this. This is definitely a callback on Downballot. So let's check out what KTVU has on this.
The superintendent of the Antioch School District has been fired in connection to controversy surrounding a department head who some argue acted out of line, but who was never disciplined. KTVU's Tom Vakar reports.
The board took action in closed session to terminate the superintendent's employment agreement effective immediately without cause.
Antioch School Superintendent Stephanie Anetto sent out an email message Wednesday evening confirming her departure.
Clear that we weren't doing right by our employees and ultimately by our students. And so, our role as the board is to ensure that our district is moving in the best direction.
The unanimous termination stems from complaints by 4 staff members that the district's maintenance director, Kenneth Turnage, shown here in his YouTube podcast discussing lawsuits.
Wait a second. He has a podcast discussing what lawsuits? Like lawsuits against him?
Nothing good ever comes of people having a podcast, Councilman.
Certainly not, especially not discussing lawsuits. That seems fraught with danger. Fraught.
Insulting, humiliating, berating, and belittling them.
This has gone on.
Humiliating.
One example, employee Jim Kessler said his desk was placed on a roof with a crude sign placed near an unsecure ladder, an OSHA violation, as well as tossing his personal effects thrown into a cart with things now missing.
Everybody kind of knew that he's kind of aggressive. He can be very loud. He's very demanding. People stayed away from him. I stayed away from him because I had this incident in his office prior to that. That's why I think he was retaliating against me.
It's just so damaging to the staff and the whole district. It's been awful.
Several employees say they went on stress medical leaves. Another feared physical assault. Employees have said the superintendent failed to act because maintenance director Turnage
promised to have him on his podcast about lawsuits.
Who is on administrative leave now, is a friend of the former superintendent and her husband, a former Antioch police chief.
Nothing happened, and we tried, to go the path that the district asked you to go by doing the forms. We had faith in the system that it would work, and the system completely failed.
The board that did the firing will now do the hiring. And you can be sure that the next superintendent will know that everyone, the staff, the students, the teachers, and the public knows exactly what the rules are and adhere to them. Tom Vakar, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Bet your ass. Bet your ass they will. Yeah, Antioch, dude. This is more like Antioch, get your shit together. Like, holy fuck. How many more problems can you have? Like, she was friends with the chief of police, like the police that have been pretty much decimated by investigations into racist and homophobic and other kind of horrible misconduct, right? Like, oh my god, and violent misconduct. Oh man, Antioch. I do sympathize with Mayor Lamar. I don't know how he's going to survive this. But I can't believe this poor dude's not facing recall when there's like, you probably would need to get 10 people to sign a petition in a city the size of Antioch to get a recall on the ballot. And yet Shangtao and of Oakland, right, is facing like a recall because shit, it's fucking Oakland. What's she supposed to do?
So I think one of the reasons we're not seeing the guy recalled is every time something happens, he goes, yeah, that actually did happen. He seems like very, very very matter of fact about what's going on. And at one time that he just got fucking pissed and walked out of his own fucking city council meeting and shit. Like, I think people just sort of identify with and are willing to believe that the dude's trying his best because every time we see him, he just seems like, okay, well, here we go. Here's what he's, it's like damage report.
Right. I mean, he's very well versed at it now, right? His team got to be very well versed at it now, like how to respond to these things. It's like, okay, just jump out. They've learned, right? Like they've learned. You go through one of these things once, right? And shame on you because you didn't understand the rules of engagement and you tried to. You're not deliberately trying to obfuscate anything. You're not deliberately trying to cut anyone out. You're not deliberately trying to fuck with anyone. You're legitimately trying to help and to solve things, right? And you made the decision that to do that, you needed to go fast and forward and, damn the torpedoes and not like let people know what was going on. And that's your bad. So now, they're trying to, I think he's learned that lesson, obviously, that you sometimes don't get a second chance to have that opportunity, and he's had a couple now, and he's doing it right. You're right. He's doing exactly the right thing. Like, own it, right? The first thing is own it, and people will accept a shit ton more from you as far as explanation and, forgive a lot more from you if you own it first, right? If you accept that you had a role in this happening. I, can't stress that enough as a communications guy. You have to own it. Because otherwise there's no buy-in, right? You're not buying into the response, and then you shouldn't expect anyone else to buy into it because you haven't accepted the responsibility.
Right. And if it turns out that there was nothing you could have done about it, that'll come out in the wash eventually.
Right. And it doesn't matter, right? Like it's of course there's an ego thing there, right? Where it's like, well, fuck, it wasn't my fault, or it didn't happen on my watch, or I inherited this mess, right? Of course you did. Maybe it isn't your fault entirely, but you're right. Like producer Dave says, it will come out in the wash. If you let the wash happen, it will come out, right? And people will respect you more for it, right? Instead of trying to curtail it or cut it off, right? Like let people talk about it. Especially if you feel you did nothing wrong, then that's all that's going to come out, right? Is that you did nothing wrong. What could if something else comes out, then there's some reckoning to be had, right? Then you have to step up and say like this is bullshit and blah blah blah. But to say that to take that as the default position, right? This is bullshit, and I shouldn't have to deal with this. It's so fucking school district. It's so fucking public agency. It's just so down-ballot-y, and it's comfort. It's really refreshing actually to see. I'm going to shout this out before we move on. I know we've got some great down-ballot stories to get to here, but I really want to shout out this school board and the president of the school board for forcing the issue. School boards have a lot of power that they don't realize they have sometimes, and they don't utilize it. And I'm really excited to see that they have taken the reins and said, no, fuck this. This is not going to stand. This is not how we do business here. We are not going to put up with this. And they took the one thing that they have the power to do is to hire and fire the superintendent. They really don't have much authority over anything else. Most everything else is ministerial, even the budget. But they can hire and fire the superintendent, and they took advantage of their one real power. And hopefully it changes things. Devil you know, devil you don't, whatever. But hopefully this does lead to some sort of positive change for the district. So it's good to see that they're taking this action.
Yeah, for sure. What do we got on Down Ballot Watch? It seems like we got some shit.
We got...
Uh-oh.
Just past Labor Day. So congratulations, everyone. We made it. So that means election season is heating up. We're 2 months away from the election. We're 1 month away from ballots dropping, and shit's getting real. And when shit gets real, Sam Liccardo starts lobbing around baseless accusations, and he uses his friends and supporters to do it. And we're going to find out more of what he's up to right now from ABC7.
Now to your voice, your vote, and new information in the contentious race for the 16th congressional district seat.
A Federal Election Commission complaint has been filed against candidate Evan Lowe, accusing him of not reporting in-kind contributions. And ABC 7 News South Bay reporter Zach Fuentes joins us live out with more on the accusations as well as the reactions. Zach.
Yeah, the person who filed the complaint is the former FEC chair and also an endorser of Lowe's opponent, Sam Liccardo. Now, Lowe's campaign says Liccardo is using his supporters to make false accusations, but the former FEC chair tells me that her support of Liccardo has nothing to do with the complaint.
But that's, of course, what they're going to say.
Watch political campaigns. The race for the District 16 congressional seat between Sam Liccardo and Evan Lowe. Now, this weekend, Ann Ravel, the former Federal Election Commission chair, has filed an FEC complaint against Evan Lowe.
Someone in the campaign of Sam Liccardo asked me if I would take a look at what had happened.
The complaint alleges that Lowe's campaign did not disclose that it used the nonprofit's email list and email server as an in-kind contribution. An example given in the complaint shows an email sent in February with a link that directed users to a page hosted by nonprofit Stand With Asian Americans. Though Ravel is listed as an endorser on Liccardo's website and acknowledged it, she said the complaint is not about that.
My rationale for this has nothing to do with Sam Liccardo.
Nothing.
My support of him or any feeling particularly about Evan Lowe. What I care about is the democratic process.
Lowe's campaign said,
get out of here.
Sam Liccardo is once again deploying his supporters to make false accusations against our campaign and distract his own shady conduct. This is simply a case of
this is going to get good.
Yes.
Capacity using the wrong hyperlink. The email list was purchased from the county registrar and reported by the campaign. Liccardo's campaign issued a statement saying in part, quote, Evan Lowe will do anything to further his political career. The statement went on to bring up other
Sam Liccardo saying that is just get out of here. Just get fuck off. I can't believe Sam Liccardo's like, this other person will do anything to forward the political career.
Right. Oh my God. Yeah, it's surprising.
It's gotten so bad, Barack Obama's former FEC chair is now calling him out. This all comes months after multiple candidates ran in the primary race for District 16. Sam Liccardo won first place by a wide margin. Initially, Evan Lowe and Joe Simidian won second place in a tie until a recount request was made. That request was made by a former staffer on Liccardo's 2014 San Jose mayoral campaign. Liccardo's team did not claim a current association with that staffer. 2 FEC complaints were filed against Liccardo in the aftermath. As for the complaint against Lowe, Ravel said she's leaving what happens next to the FEC.
They're the ones who will have to investigate this, not me.
Now, we have also heard from the nonprofit in the middle of this, Stand With Asian Americans. They sent us an email that said in part, it is a strictly nonpartisan organization. It did not provide email lists to the Lowe campaign, and that it's against its policies to share subscriber information to external entities.
Well, the charity involves but what else are they going to say?
Yeah, of course, right? What do you expect from a pig but a grunt, as the saying, or some sort of saying goes? I guess it was a cliche anyway. Yeah, this is just typical BS from Camp Liccardo. It's much ado about nothing, first of all. Even if there was some sort of sharing of lists, it's like, come on, like this shit happens all the time. Sam Liccardo has certainly benefited from the fact that he's probably pulled his email fundraising cultivation list together from a variety of sources that could be either personal or organizational or even tied to a nonprofit. I would not be surprised. It's not uncommon. It happens. And the fact that they're making hay out of it now and making hay out of it the way they are, it's like it's not designed to actually win or lose or influence any votes. It's really designed for us, for the insiders, to talk about and to banty about and to discuss and to distract, right? To cause Evan Lowe's camp, and Evan, there might be games at play where he's trying to do this too, but it's to distract Evan's camp and get them having to respond to press inquiries, right? Having them to take the time that they could be spending raising money and talking to voters. Instead, they're spending time responding to this bullshit, right? That is more than likely the ulterior motive at play, and that they have to respond to complaints and hire lawyers to defend themselves, right? It's just resource drain. And that's sort of had the game that Sam plays. That's the reason why he had his supporter, his ardent supporter, his lackey, if you will. I mean, I'll be really blunt, knowing all the players in this situation, having his lackey file the recount request was just another example of that. He forced both Evan and Joe Simitian to expend an inordinate amount of resources to fight that recount, to fight for every vote in that recount. And it's resources that they could spend or could have fundraised to do things to win the race, as opposed to having to make sure that they're still in the race. So this is not out of the ordinary. This is exactly Sam Liccardo's playbook, and I'm not saying it's not how other politicians play. It's just that Sam's a typical politician, and I wish that more folks recognized that, and that it's kind of disgusting to see him. It's he thinks very little of us to come with the idea, oh well, this has nothing to do with me, and I had no say in this at all, and these people just randomly decided to do these things on my behalf. I would prefer more ownership, like the mayor of Antioch.
Yep, but the mayor of Antioch, if I were him, I wouldn't be very politically ambitious. I'd be like, when is my term up?
Yeah, right. Let me get out of this shit. What are housing prices like elsewhere?
Right? Could I move?
Can I sell my Antioch house and move to like Tracy?
I heard growers are paying top dollar for houses
in Cocoa. Yeah, in Contra Costa County. Well, they're in Cocoa actually, so that's right. Anyway, yeah. So typical gamesmanship, and it's going to get more and more heated. And I love the tit for tat and the back and forth. It's my favorite part when they just come with these little barbs at each other. It's just so funny to watch Democrats fight each other. Anyway, it'd be much more cutthroat if this was like Republicans on Republicans or Dems on Republicans, but we get sort of the tame version of it. But it's really fun when it gets a little nasty. Hey, buddy.
All right. Well, what do we got next?
Well, speaking of shady, so you have a public event and shit's gonna happen, especially in Oakland. So one council candidate apparently had sort of a semi-intruder at her event, but she's not feeling so bad about it. We're gonna learn more from the ABC7.
Yeah, but that's her, dude.
I asked for the bag and somebody gave it to me. Shut up!
Choice words thrown as this woman refuses to give up that orange bag. In it is about $1,000 worth of campaign donations for Charlene Wong.
I, very much tried to have a de-escalatory conversation with her to try to convince her to hand over the bag, offer her, a warm meal at the grocery store, give her even money in exchange for the bag, but that did not work out.
Wong is running for Oakland City Council at large.
Listen, bag up.
Can we just get the orange bag, please?
When I'm done.
She said this woman came by after their campaign rally and took the bag. Her and her staff tried to get the woman to politely hand the bag back, but that woman wouldn't budge.
She did start getting agitated and started throwing food and whatnot.
Her staff first tried calling homeless outreach to try and calm the woman down, but they weren't available. After the woman started threatening Charlene and her staff, they decided they should call Oakland police. Only problem, police never showed up.
They said that there were 250 calls ahead of us, and they said that they would actually come by to take a report afterwards. They still have not come by, and still hasn't happened yet.
We reached out to Oakland police and asked them if they ever responded. They asked me to be more specific about the location, but they never replied back. Part of the platform for her candidacy is focusing on increasing public safety by building more housing for the homeless, a platform where she now has a first-hand experience.
I'm not angry at her or anything like that. However, I think this is yet another example of how we don't have a first responder service. There was I was left to fend for myself in essence.
She says whoever gets elected to the at-large role should focus on reducing incidents like this one. In Oakland, Ryan Curry, ABC7 News.
She seemed kind of cool about it. I mean, what are you going to do though?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. What are you going to do? But I think that's the appropriate response. There's not much else you can do, and that's just an unfortunate situation. But it gives her a great opportunity to get on camera talking about the issues, right, and the issues that she obviously cares about because she's running for city council. So, yeah, it sucks that maybe she lost some of the donations, but it's a great opportunity from a communications perspective.
So I don't know enough about this kind of race in the grand scheme of things. Is $1,000 a lot of money for candidate in a race like this?
It can be. I don't particularly know what the limits are and what the average cost of running elections in Oakland are, but $1,000 is $1,000. It's definitely a sizable chunk, no matter who you're, unless you're running for like president, right? And you're raising $500 million in 2 weeks. But yeah, no, it's for a city council candidate. Guaranteed, it's a good chunk. It means basically 1,000 mailers you could send to voters, right?
Yeah,
that's 1,000 voters you can reach with your message that you can't now.
Okay, well that makes sense. That makes sense. So our next story seems to be from San Francisco. I like what you wrote here. You're like, a San Francisco Unified School District board president resigns after discovering that serving on a school board is hard.
Let's hear more. I'm going to help with the bad baby for a second here.
An abrupt change. The president of the embattled San Francisco School Board has resigned, citing personal health issues. And Mayor London Breed has already sworn in the newest board member. It comes as the district prepares to make some tough decisions, including closing schools. NBC Bay Area's Christy Smith has more.
Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend.
Phil Kim was sworn in today at City Hall, the newest member of the San Francisco Board of Education.
Today I'm filled with gratitude and determination. I am truly grateful.
Let's check in with you in a month.
And her leadership.
Kim will fill the rest of the term for board president Lainey Matomedy, who said she will step down.
I have made the difficult decision to step down. Due to my personal circumstances, my immediate priority needs to be my health and my family.
Elected leaders shared stories of her accomplishments. Breed first appointed Matomedy following a school board recall, and the new transition comes as the beleaguered district faces new challenges. Next month, the superintendent will share recommendations for closing some schools, a recommendation the board will have to vote on likely in December.
People are protective of their schools, and so when we talk about releasing a list, there's more to that. You have to be able to go out and have these conversations with these parents and these students as to what this means. And so we didn't have time to wait. We had to have someone who was ready to hit the ground running.
The district says it's been spending for years and it's not sustainable. They say the latest fiscal changes are part of a budget stabilization process. The mayor's office says the newly appointed board member has the experience the job needs, noting he's had more than a decade working in education and for SFUSD.
What's most important for me is, as a commissioner and as a colleague of other board members as well, that we are centering the experiences of our kids first and foremost.
But the union representing educators is raising a flag, wondering why they didn't receive any requests from the city to consult over such an important role.
The focus must continue on stabilizing the school district, make sure we're fully staffed, make sure we're working together to achieve more funds and stabilize the school district's budget.
Christy Smith, NBC Bay Area News.
So, yeah, the lady was like, I got to focus on myself here. And it's like, well, what do you think? What did you think was going to, you think it was going to take time away from focusing on yourself, maybe, to be on the fucking, the chair of the school board?
Yeah. This stems from a story that we've covered ad nauseum here on Downballot, actually. During Downballot / recall watch, we followed the recall effort in San Francisco Unified because people were upset because the board wasn't doing enough to, solve the big problems that they were facing, right, and solve and be the savior. And they wanted to step in and be the saviors, right? So the community led the effort to get a bunch of board members recalled, and London Breed came in and appointed this lady and her colleagues in a little basically a bold takeover measure. And lo and behold, they found out that it's actually really hard work to run a school district. And like I said earlier, board members, often don't really recognize that and don't take advantage of their role, and don't really do their job. And so this, obviously, I sympathize with anyone who's got personal, drama, personal issues, personal obligations. Being a father now, like, it certainly weighs on me, right? That I can't do as much as I would like to do simply because I have an obligation that's higher than myself now. But at the same time, you jumped into this role, just a couple years ago, 2 years ago. It's not even been 2 years. And, because of this, they came in swinging like, recall these fools. They don't know what they're doing. I know what I'm doing. And now you realize, I don't know what I'm doing. and you're backing out, right? And you're stepping aside. But fine. fine. Good riddance. Honestly, like you had some shit to deal with. Go figure your shit out. Like if you're not cut out for this, if you're not ready for this business, then don't get involed.
As Tila Tequila would say.
Don't ever call me again.
Yeah, right. There's, it's not a secret that this is a really thankless job, and that it's no secret that right now, public officials, especially school board members, commissioners, anyone who's in sort of the public eye, right, and has a really low level of security or authority around them, right, is going to be attacked and threatened and a target, and that's unfortunate, and it's going to lead to less qualified and less good, genuine people running for office, and that sucks. Major ass. We have to do something about that. But in the meantime, like I'm just so tired of these Johnny and Jane come latelys who think that they know how to solve everything, right? And that they think everyone in an office now has their heads up their ass. It's not always the case. The incumbents are wrong sometimes. Don't get me wrong, right? Like we know, right? You and I, Patricia, Dave, we follow this all the time. We know that the incumbents can have their heads up their ass, like our current mayor in San Jose, right? Doesn't mean they always have the right intentions, but I think sometimes folks think that they could do a better job, and they realize that it is a tough job. Even if you're doing a bad job, it is a tough job, right. And it is work, and it requires work, not just like going to events and having honorable in front of your name, right? Like it really does require you actually digging in and doing some shit.
So we're going to move on to and another thing, and I'm going to have some fucking thoughts about this.
I thought you might, my friend. I thought you might. That's why I added it. So let's watch and talk.
You cannot find a late night bite in the city. Well, guess what? You are not alone. San Francisco tops a new list as the worst major city for late night dining.
Yeah, Food Magazine Chef's Pencil reveals San Francisco's early closing times outpace other cities like LA and New York, with many local restaurants stopping seating as early as 9 p.m.
The magazine says this reflects a broader trend of reduced late night traffic and declining revenue. So we wanted to know what you think about this. So we asked the question. We put it up on the socials. Does San Francisco need more late night dining options?
All right, here you go. There's the results. Gee, look at that. 77.1% say absolutely.
Did you answer this poll, producer Dave?
No, but shout out to them for not giving apartheid Clyde money for a check mark.
The fact that Max Darrow did a story about how some Bay Area business owners, especially in San Francisco, are innovating and they are starting to work in the night space.
And so we've got some comments too. Here's someone on Twitter, AKA X. My yes vote comes with an asterisk, since these businesses will be super dangerous to go to and work at. They won't be open long before having to be shut down. That is where my mind went to. I think a lot of the reasoning is safety.
Thank you, Dr. Dre No Cow.
Things might not be as safe for just even the employees, let alone the people coming in and out of the businesses. But I have been in those moments where you're out with your friends. I think you spoke to Nate Burleson earlier this morning from CBS Mornings. And he said that, if you're in San Francisco, you're out drinking Gatorade, having some fun with your friends. Yeah. You want to go grab a bite before you head home, Yeah,
well, we are a glittering city. And I think people are saying, look, we need to have, even the mayor said downtown 24/7.
We need more burritos.
People are asking for. And like I said, Max Darrow did that report. You can go on our website, kpix.com. You can see that because we do have businesses who are innovating into the night space. That said, there is that push for night food markets in San Francisco, all along with some other events meant to draw people into the city at all hours. In fact, Mayor London Breed's new entertainment zones will host this year's Oktoberfest celebrations. That's September 20th. One highlight, drinks allowed on city streets, Nate Burleson, in designated areas. This one is on Front Street between Sacramento and California near Embarcadero Plaza.
That explains it. These people, they're like, why isn't there anything open late by the Embarcadero?
Right. And I want something nearby where I am going, within a block of my BART station. Yes.
Fucking live a little. My God,
yeah,
there's stuff that's open so late in the Mission, for example.
Yeah, please offer your thoughts. I want to hear all of them.
The Mission, South of Market, the Castro has a lot of places that are open late where you can get food. The Castro is one of them, what these people would call one of them nice neighborhoods. You just get away from Union Square and the touristy part of San Francisco.
Right. Explore a little, or not even explore, just walk a couple blocks.
Just open Yelp or whatever and be like, what's open right now? And if it's a 2-block walk, you go, I don't know. That's Hackeria.
Italian, yeah. Well, look at the reviews. If it's popping, it's got thousands of 5-star reviews. People are not wrong. The masses are not wrong when it comes to food, right? If some shit's popping, it's gonna rise to the top. The cream rises to the top. It really does.
What do you mean a sandwich shop?
A sandwich shop? What do you mean you have vegan sandwiches? Does that mean like with lettuce?
Yeah, like, there's so much stuff open late in San Francisco. It's just like what they want. They want like to walk up and that person be like, how many? Instead of walking up to a counter and the person looking at you, figuring out that you're a tourist and being like, do you want a super burrito or 2 tacos?
Would you like a wet burrito? Yeah, no, I've never, when I was living there, when I visited, never been lacking for late night bites in San Francisco. In a variety of bites too, by the way. Like, so I don't understand what the hell this report is all about, but checklist or whatever it is, checkmate, they can go stuff it.
Even just check out the hotel you're in. If they have room service, I bet you could go sit at the bar and they'll bring you a fucking burger at the bar. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, it's probably solid food too. If it's in San Francisco, you can imagine that the chefs at the hotel are doing pretty good for themselves. So yeah, I why not? Sometimes nowadays the hotels have like the local trendy restaurant is in a hotel, right? It's like in the lobby, right? It's like the hotel's restaurant. So yeah, check some shit out. There's plenty of options out there, folks. Just got to poke around. What's the Grateful Dead song? Shakedown Street, right? Got to poke around.
A falafel or a gyro or
right. Get some. Be adventurous.
Just whatever's closest. Fucking give it a try. Even if the reviews aren't good. What if it's hella good?
Cambodian food is the bomb, by the way. If you've never tried Cambodian food.
Yeah, I think what they mean is I think they mean like fine dining or like
like white
upper middle
napkin.
mid to upscale dining after 9 p.m. and that's like not like go to fucking go take your vacation in Campbell if that's what you want. Pino's is open until midnight. You can get yourself a rack of lamb all the way up till 11:45. All right,
there you go. Right. Anyway, well, that was another thing, and I figured you'd have some thoughts there, so I'm glad we got to cover that.
Yeah, these people don't. Anyway, you want to fucking read the show out?
Well, why not? I thought the bad baby might want to help me, but apparently she's finally been sated by Bluey and poppy seed muffins. Anyway, well, thanks so much for joining us for another week of Down Ballot, ladies and gentlemen. As producer Dave mentioned at the top of the show, we do this almost every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, right here live on Twitch. You can tune in and check us out here. You can also download this as a podcast on all of your podcatchers. We really hope you do, and keep us the 9th best local news podcast in California, according to some dude. We might move up to 8th next year. We'll check it out. As always, we want to make sure you're vaxxed, that you're wearing a mask where it's appropriate. You don't have to wear pants because that's totally optional. We all love going without pants some days. And we're going to leave you some audible smoke as usual. And I hope you'll tune in for producer Dave and public comment later. And you'll see us here next week. Peace out.
Time to get the party started. Pick up my phone just to check and see who's calling. Dress up real nice for the ladies at the bar, and I'm driving in my car just to get to where they are. Here at the local scene is where I plant my feet. It's where I smoke my cigarette and I hold my drink. I look at all my friends, they're all blazing green. Here at the front of the stage, waiting for MTV. Where are those guys who's standing next to me with a pipe in his hand, ready to blaze for me? About 5 minutes later, we're all singing Queen. I pick the fuck up on stage, man, rock the scene, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. I turn and head back to the bar for a refill, man, because you know where we are. We're headed out to the car to smoke another one and another one. Now just when the magic starts kicking in, I hear relapse playing, you know it's time to head in. Alright everybody, now it's time to grab a new drink. Spark it if you got it and then pass it to me, yeah. We do what we want, we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want to do. And what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. Last up on the bill for the show tonight is Down and Dirty at 5, so we're headed outside to spark up another joint. Now who's got my light? A stoner E, of course. Shouldn't you be inside?
I'm all up in this bitch, being who I gotta be. I'm fucked up like the U.S. economy. The truth is that I don't think logically. Stoner E take you on a psychedelic odyssey. Now inside motherfuckers is rocking me, and outside shit we smoke a lot of broccoli. Rocky the roller, yo, that sexy girl be jocking me. Ain't too drunk to fuck, but I'll probably do it sloppily.
We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy the band, enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band.
All they say, that he like jamming, and they hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Well, Bob,